Hi everyone, we are learning about Antarctica this week, and if you were to go to Antarctica, you would have to make sure that you are wearing some special clothing because it is so cold in Antarctica that you would need to make sure you are wearing a scarf or some gloves and a hat to keep you warm because Antarctica is covered in ice and snow. So come along and learn about what types of clothes we need to wear in Antarctica as they need to be nice and warm.
Hi, I'm Robbie. Hi, I'm Susie.
Hi, I'm Miss Carly, the teacher. It's time for
Hometime
with Robbie and Susie.
I have hands.
I have hands.
Watch me clap.
Watch me clap.
Oh, what a miracle am I have feet.
I have feet.
Watch me stand.
Watch me stand.
Oh, what a miracle am I. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Every little part of me. I'm something special, so very special. There's nobody quite like me. I have arms.
I have arms.
Watch me swing.
Watch me swing.
Oh, what a miracle am I have legs.
I have legs.
They can bend and stretch.
They can bend and stretch.
Oh, what a miracle am I. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Every little part of me. I'm something special, so very special. There's nobody quite like me. I have a spine.
I have a spine.
It can twist and bend.
It can twist and bend.
Oh, what a miracle am I have a 1 foot.
I have a 1 foot.
Watch me balance.
Watch me balance.
Oh, what a miracle am I. Oh, what a miracle. Oh, what a miracle. Every little part of me. I'm something special, so very special. There's nobody quite like me. There's nobody quite like me.
I have a song about warm clothes because in Antarctica you need to wear very warm clothes. Would you like to sing it with me? It goes like this. My hat goes on my head, my hat goes on my head. Warm clothes for when it snows, my hat goes on my head. Okay, we're going to do a scarf now. My scarf goes round my neck, my scarf goes round my neck. Warm clothes for when it snows, my scarf goes round my neck. All right, we might need gloves to keep our hands warm. My gloves goes on my hands, my gloves go on my hands. Warm clothes for when it snows, my gloves go on my hands. Did you like that? You can use other types of clothing in that song, so try them out at home. So as Antarctica is really, really cold, Stacey has a book about an animal that lives in the cold. Let's go and see.
Thanks, Lauren. Do you know what? In Antarctica, it is very cold and we do need to rug up with our scarves and our beanies to keep us warm. But do you know what? Animals need to make sure when they're in the Antarctic as well that they stay warm too. I actually have a book today about a penguin. It's called The Emperor's Egg. And do you know what? The penguins have a very special job when they have to look after the eggs and the baby penguins. Let's have a look. The Emperor's Egg. Down at the very bottom of the world, there's a huge island that's almost completely covered in snow and ice. It's called Antarctica, and it's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. Can you see the arrow pointing to it? The weather's bad enough there in summer, but in winter it's really horrible. It's hard to imagine anything actually living there. But wait, what's that shape over there? What could it be? What is it? It's a penguin. It's not just any old penguin either. It's a male emperor penguin, the biggest penguin in the world. And he's doing a very important job. He's looking after his egg. He didn't lay it himself, of course, though. We'll have to go see where that egg is. His mate laid the egg a few weeks ago. Can you see the eggs on the toes? But very soon afterwards, she turned around and waddled off to sea. That's where female emperor penguins spend most of the winter, swimming about, getting as fast as they can, eating as much as they can, and generally having a very nice time. Ooh. So the dad penguin, or the male penguin, he looks after the egg. Why the female penguin, she goes off. Which leaves the father penguin stuck on the ice with his egg. Can you see it a little bit better now? Now, the most important thing about egg sitting is stopping your egg from getting cold. So we wear beanies and scarves and jumpers to keep us warm and not cold. But how do you think the penguin keeps the egg warm? I'll tell you. It means he has to keep the egg off the ice and out of the wind. And what better way to do that than resting it on your feet and tuck it right up under your tummy. Can you imagine carrying an egg around on your feet? I bet it must be very tricky. And that's how he'll stay for 2 whole months, until his egg is ready to hatch. So the penguin's gonna hold the egg for 2 months, then the egg will be ready to hatch. Can you imagine it? Standing around in the freezing cold with an egg on your feet for 2 whole months? Can you see all the male emperors? They're all looking after their eggs. What's more, there's nothing for the father penguin to eat on land. So that means for 2 whole months with an egg on your feet and no supper? I don't know about you. And because his egg's sitting, he can't go off to sea to find some feed. So that means no lunch, no breakfast, and no dinner. That would be very miserable. It's a long time not to have food. Luckily, the penguins don't seem to mind too much. They've got thick feathers and lots of fat under their skin to help keep them warm. And when it gets really cold and windy, they all snuggle up together and shuffle over the ice in a great big huddle. Can you see? It's a bit hard because it's very windy there at the moment. All the penguins are huddled together so they can stay warm because they've got their big thick feathers, but all cuddling up nice and close. Most of the time, the huddle trundles along very, very slowly, but sometimes when the penguins get to a particular slippery slope, they slide down on their tummies, pushing themselves along with their flippers, always remembering to take care of that egg and trying hard not to bump into each other. That would be so tricky, still holding an egg in your feet while you slide down. Oh, wow. But after the 2 months, the egg is starting to hatch. It takes a day or so, but finally the egg cracks right open and out pops the penguin. Oh, it's a little chick. Now the father penguin has 2 jobs to do. He still has to keep the chick warm, but he has to feed the penguin too. How do you think he's going to feed the penguin? Because remember, the emperor penguin, there was no food on the land. So they had to go 2 months without any breakfast or lunch or dinner. Maybe we should go have a look and see how he's going to feed the baby penguin. The chick is too small to be taken off to sea to catch food, and it can't be left behind on the ice. But deep down in the father penguin's throat, there's a pouch where he makes something rather like milk, and that's what he feeds to the hungry chick. Did you know that the daddy penguin could make milk in his throat? I didn't know that. The father penguin can only make enough milky stuff to feed the chick for a couple of weeks, but just as he's about to run out, a dot appears on the horizon. It gets closer and closer and closer. And yes, it's Mum! Mummy penguin's back. She starts coming over and saying hello, and the father penguin starts saying hello back, and the chick whistles. The racket goes on for hours, and it really does sound as if they're incredibly pleased to see each other. Do you think they've missed each other? I think they might have. As soon as things have calmed down, the mother penguin is sick right into the chick's mouth. Oh, yuck. You may think yum. I think the chick thinks it's yum, but I don't think it would be very nice. It's the mother's turn to look after the chick now, while the father sets off to sea for a well-earned meal of his own. And I think about time too. That's the end of the story. So in this story, do you remember how the emperor penguins, they have the very thick coat and they've got the extra fat in their bellies to keep them warm, but they have a very special job to keep the egg and the baby chick warm too. The penguins use their feathers and their bodies and each other to stay warm by cuddling up, but we often use clothes to help keep us warm. Things like our beanies or our hats, scarves, gloves, jumpers. I think we might have a song that we can sing about clothes that might keep us warm. If it's snowing and it's cold, you wear a beanie. If it's snowing and it's cold, you wear a beanie. If it's snowing and it's cold and you're chilled to the bone. If it's snowing and you're cold, you wear a beanie. Ooh, what else could we wear? Maybe a scarf? I'll just pretend I've got one on. Ready? If it's snowing and it's cold, you wear a scarf. If it's snowing and it's cold, you wear a scarf. If it's snowing and it's cold and you're chilled down to the bone. If it's snowing and it's cold, you wear a scarf. Ooh, maybe we could do one more. Maybe our gloves. I sometimes like to put gloves or mittens on if I'm at the snow. Ready? If it's snowing and it's cold, we wear our gloves. If it's snowing and it's cold, we wear our gloves. If it's snowing and it's cold and we're cold down to the bone. If it's snowing and it's cold, we wear our gloves. Oh, I think wearing our beanie, our scarf and our gloves is a great way to keep ourselves warm. Well, do you know what? I think it's about time that we go and see what Lauren's got planned for us today. Let's go have a look.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. That was such a good story, Stacey. I loved learning about all the different facts about penguins.
I know, I learned so much about penguins and how penguins keep each other warm and their chicks. And I learned lots of interesting facts about how they eat as well. It was a great story.
No, it was so good to learn about it. So I loved the part where you talked about how a penguin stays warm, because we've been talking about warm clothes and how you have to have special warm clothes in Antarctica. And the reason why Antarctica is so cold, because it's covered in snow and ice. And so for today's activity, we are going to be making our very own snow dough. So it has no ice, but it looks like real ice. And we get to play with it. And would you like to make it with me?
I do, and I think this might be something so easy for all our families to do at home as well.
It is very easy. All you need is some corn flour, some oil, and some glitter. And that is it. We also have a spoon and a bowl to help make it, but it is so easy. So you can join along and make this at home as well. So to start, all we need is 2 cups of corn flour. So would you like to hold the cup?
I will.
And I will pour it. So you need to carefully shake it out.
It's snowing on my hand.
Maybe we should use the spoon.
Maybe I'm just trying to catch some snowflakes for later.
Well, what did that feel like, Stacey, on your arm?
Oh, it actually felt a little bit cold and then a little bit powdery.
Did you know that there is a type of snow called powder?
I did actually.
And it's very, very soft. And because some snow is very hard, and then some snow is so soft, it's like powder.
Oh, I think, look.
So we got
one full cut ready. Ooh. Oh,
in it goes. And we'll fill up, because we need 2. So we'll fill up 1 more cup. How many spoons do you think it'll take? 3, 4 maybe?
Maybe 4 or 5. What are we up to now?
This is 4.
4. Oh, we'll go for 5.
You were right.
Oh.
A little bit more.
And then
Just like that.
2. Ooh. Got to give it a tap, make sure all that corn flour comes out.
Perfect.
And then what do we need next?
We then need some oil. So, but we do need to use glitter, so maybe we should put the glitter in first.
Oh, definitely.
So would you like to do the glitter? And I'll
I
hold the spoon.
would.
So we need 3 spoons of glitter.
All right. Oh,
Oh, that's very sparkly.
and it's really nice to add the glitter in because our snow is made from ice, and sometimes when the water freezes to make our snow and the sun hits it, it has that nice little shimmer to it, and I think our glitter is going to do that for us.
Yes, I have seen snow falling and it sparkles. And especially, as you said, when the light hits it, whether it's sunlight or moonlight, it sparkles and glitters just like this.
Oh, so have a look in there. We've got all our flour and we've got our glitter ready for our next ingredient.
So it's currently dry, so we can't create anything when it's dry like this. So we need to add some oil. So for oil, you are going to need 1/2 cup. So we're gonna do half is up to here. So we'll pour half in. Make sure I've got enough. Okay, let's try that.
Ooh. And so we'll just pour it all over.
We will pour it all over.
Ready? Ooh.
And this is going to make our snow dough.
There
So I'm
we go.
going to stir and stir and stir and stir and stir and stir. And while we're stirring, because we're learning about warm clothes in Antarctica, animals don't wear clothes. So how do the animals keep warm?
Oh, well, do you know what? There's lots of different ways, but some animals have special thick feathers, or just like our emperor penguin we were reading before, they have lots of extra fat in their tummies that helps keep them warm.
Yes, I did know that. That fat is called blubber. Is that correct?
I think you're right.
Blubber. And so whales, seals, and penguins all have blubber.
Oh.
And it's very thick because they lay on the ice and they swim in the cold water, so they need to make sure that they are staying warm.
That's right.
And penguins, I know another way that they keep warm. They huddle together. So one penguin doesn't stand by themselves. They get a whole group of penguins together and they cuddle up for warmth, and that's how they stay warm.
That's right. And do you know what, Lauren? There was a picture in our story of all the male emperors, and they were all huddled together because it was very windy and they had to move very slowly to stay warm.
And I saw that baby penguins, they have different skin to their mums and their dads, or the other bigger penguins. They're all fluffy.
They are, and we saw that when the egg hatched out as well, that it was all nice and fluffy, and it still needed to stay with their family to keep them warm until they got a little bit bigger.
Yeah, because they, even though they look fluffy and warm, they haven't grown that layer of blubber yet.
No.
So I saw in the picture on the front, they sit underneath their mum or their dad on their dad's feet, so that their feet don't get too cold, and they use their mum and dad's body warmth to stay warm. So they use their mum and dad as clothes.
That's right.
Wow, that is really fascinating.
It is.
So with our snow dough, it still looks a little bit crumbly, but that's okay. It's meant to look like that. So what's going to happen now is we need to make it, what we're going to do is we're just going to test some out. We might need a bit more oil, but what we're going to do is we're going to put some in her hand and we're going to squeeze, 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 and see if it turns into a ball. It's sort of staying together, but we might need a little bit more oil. Do you reckon?
I think you might be right. It is starting to get all crumbly and roll, just like you might make snowballs when you go to the snow.
So we might use just a little bit more oil.
And do you know what, Lauren? While you're doing that, I was actually looking at some things about Antarctica and how cold it is, and I actually saw these two pictures, and these pictures show, oh, this one is of someone and they've made a igloo. And I've got another one down here, and this is of a man, and see how they're dressed in all their warm clothes. And in this book, it actually talks about that in Antarctica, that people like us, we can't live there because it's too cold for us to be there. So it's more just if we go for a quick visit on a holiday where we might go on a boat trip, or it might just be when people like scientists go there or to take photos and just learn about the animals, because it is definitely too cold for us to live there.
It does look very, very cold. I have been to Canada where it is very, very cold there. And it was so cold that as I was drinking my water, I put my water down for 1 minute, and as soon as I went back to have another sip, it was frozen solid. It had turned to ice.
Wow.
So it was that cold. But I didn't know it was that cold because I was wearing a special jacket, a beanie, gloves, special shoes to keep my feet warm, and special pants. And so because I was wearing those clothes, I was nice and warm. But that it was so cold that the water had frozen.
Wow, I did not know that.
It was very, very cold there. Okay, so I think our snow dough is ready. We will test it out, but it is a lot more solid now. And as you can see, it's all crumbly. And so we might get some out again and see if it will be able to mold. Oh, perfect. Look at that.
I can see that in your hands.
Look at that. So now we can mold it. Would you like some?
Oh, definitely. Thanks, Lauren.
So it's a little bit different. It's very soft.
Oh, and it has a very interesting feel to it.
Yes, it's kind of like powdery. Look at our hands. Our hands are a bit more powdery, but we can squeeze it really hard and it stays in a ball.
Oh, look, and you can make it into all different shapes. Like, oh, I might start to try and make a seal so you can slide along the ice.
I might make, because in the snow, and especially when wearing warm clothes, you sometimes want to build a snowman.
Oh,
So
I was thinking the same thing.
I might make a snowman. Have you ever seen the snow before? It'd be awesome for you to share that with some of your teachers. We'd love to see some photos.
And do you know what? It might be a little bit hard for you to see, but I can see when I move my little pretend snowball around, I can see the glitter that we put in it, and it's shining and got a nice glisten to it. You might not be able to see it, but I can.
Oh, it does. It looks beautiful. Okay, I've got my second part. I'm going to put my bottom and then my middle, and then I'm going to make a head.
Oh, I might make one next to yours. I've already made a bottom one. Oh.
And so in Antarctica, the ice and the snow is very white, but there's also a lot of rock under Antarctica. So sometimes you see where it's white, you might also see brown because some of the rock is poking through. Oh, and there's my head. Starting to look like a snowman.
Look at that. Look how much fun you could have making your own snow dough at home.
And once you're finished playing with it, you could also put it in a container, put a lid on it, and then put it away for a while, and you can always come back to it and play again. So it can be used over and over and over again.
Oh, I've made some two very big eyes for mine.
I need to make a nose for my snowman.
And do you know what, Lauren? There's actually lots of other ways that you can make snow dough and things at home. So maybe you could have a look. If you might not have oil, you could have a look at things like baby oil.
Yes.
Or sometimes I think you can actually use conditioner. And
oh, wow.
It will have that same similar effect that you can mix it with a bit of corn flour and it will still have that molding effect and things like that. So maybe you could have a little look around and have a look what's in your cupboards at home and see what you might have to be able to make this at home.
Well, my
I'm
snowman,
going to sprinkle some snow. Woo!
I think that's great. I might even make some ice because seals love to lay on the ice. Like this. And I might get the seal here and he can lay upon the ice. Just like that.
Wow. This has been so much fun. And this is such a great experience that you could do at home with your family. And maybe if you have some Arctic animals or some sea animals, you might even like to make like a sensory tray.
And then you can be playing for a very long time and you can be so creative in your own way. But thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to see you create your own snow dough. But until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.